Alexithymia is Greek and literally means without words. It is used to describe the inability to articulate or distinguish felt emotions. And it might just challenge a current diagnostic criterion of autism. The current DSM-5 criteria for autism includes sensory symptoms, which can mean hypersensitivity or hyposensitivity to stimuli such as loud noises, bright lights, and crowds. But there is evidence that sensory symptoms are not intrinsic to autism itself. A 2025 analysis of data collected in the UK looked at the relationship between alexithymia and sensory symptoms. Surprisingly, the researchers concluded that although alexithymia and sensory symptoms commonly co-occur with autism, they are also independent from autism, and that autism with co-occurring alexithymia might represent a specific subtype of autism. So although sensory symptoms such as hypersensitivity are a part of how it is diagnosed today, they seem to not be a core feature of autism at all, but rather associated with alexithymia, which happens to be comorbid with autism. This isn't just academic wordplay. This could really change how autistic people understand themselves. And there's more here. Vision emotion recognition, which has been correlated with autism, is more strongly correlated with alexithymia rather than autism itself. When researchers adjusted data for alexithymia, they found autistic patients not to be deficient in emotion recognition tasks, but the autistic patients with alexithymia were deficient. The sticking point, however, is that so many autistic people have alexithymia, with the same review citing that about 50% of autistic patients have it. But is the situation really as simple as it seems? Does alexithymia mean the sensory symptoms diagnostic criterion should be dropped? Is alexithymic autism truly a subtype of autism? Well, there's some ambiguity here, because the way alexithymia is measured risks circularity. Stay with me, because this part is a bit subtle. Circularity is taking a definition for an explanation and a measurement for a cause. This is a significant issue in psychology research as well as fields such as economics, because it creates pseudo-knowledge, cannot fail empirically, and survives peer review by definition of being procedurally correct and self-coherent. Alexithymia is self-diagnosed predominantly by the Toronto Alexithymia Scale questionnaire, which includes agreement statements such as "I am often confused about what emotion I am feeling," and "I am able to describe my feelings easily." The emotional self-recognition part in this self-diagnostic overlaps conceptually with measurements of emotion recognition, and possibly that of stimulus overwhelmment. In other words, alexithymia might just be a higher order proxy for emotional recognition. There is some definitional overlap. However, one saving grace for alexithymia is that the emotional cognition tasks are multimodal and range across facial, musical, tonal recognition, and other modalities. One is self-reported, the other measures external emphatic processes. So with that disclaimer, what is autism without alexithymia? We can say that not all diagnosed autistic people struggle with emotion recognition, and not all have sensory symptoms, even though sensory symptoms are part of the diagnostic criteria today. We can also conservatively say that a proxy measure called alexithymia is predictive of whether these traits are present or not. Alexithymic autism and non-alexithymic autism might be subtypes of autism. Both subtypes would still share the more traditional symptoms, such as difficulty with contextual and implicit social meaning, atypical social reciprocity, and difficulty maintaining relationships. And perhaps the diagnostic criteria needs to be updated if alexithymia can truly be teased apart from what we currently call autism. Links to the studies in the description.